3-0. 3-0. And it really should be 2-0 on that Carter Verhaeghe assist to Lindell. And this video is probably not going to, I don't know how this video is going to age well, but this is game 4, and we just got done with the first period, and I don't know what I'll title this, but the Panthers are just killing them. It's a cruel summer, and apparently Taylor Swift is in Sunrise. Who knew that she was going to be there? You know, I think that she is a fan of hockey. I'm glad she is. Certainly, now we have eyeballs on there, and I think Game 4 is going to get some better ratings. I don't know if she'll go to Edmonton and root for, Chucker and Barkov, but that certainly would help. I do think she might be a good luck charm at this point. 3-0, and it's like, I mean, now McDavid almost had a breakaway, but Schmidt pulled, was able to control the puck just in time before McDavid was off to the races, so that is a good thing. And they did keep the pressure on. I'm going to go check in a moment. Let's see where the shots were right now. Let's see. NHL.com. Yeah. But to tell you the truth, that the Panthers were out shooting them. It wasn't even close, personally. And I know we're going to have a lot of steamed hams, memes, compilations, because of the Skinner. So I don't know what they're doing with those right now. I'll probably have to make a meme of that and put it on the channel at this point. And sites loading. But I think right now, you still have 40 minutes of hockey that you have to play. And I think the Panthers, I don't want to jinx anything yet, but I really do think that the Panthers are going to take a 3-1 lead very, very soon. And I don't know what, and I think that, and I don't know if the Canadian curse is going to be on after all of this, but, who else is going to come out and be able to play in the Stanley Cup final other than the Oilers on the Canadian side? And I'm not talking about out west. I'm talking about just in general. What other Canadian team can just finally break this Bettman curse? I think maybe the Montreal Canadiens can do it in maybe 3-4 years. 3 years at the earliest, but you're still, it's going to be a long time until you see, a Stanley Cup raised for a Canadian team, because it might not necessarily happen in Canada. I mean, the Flames were probably the closest out of all of them, to be honest with you, in 2004, and that was over 20 years ago. All that. And I do think, and even with all the Stanley Cup championships, the Canadians have not had much out of, since 1993. They had the Blue Jays win the World Series and the Raptors win the NBA championship in 2019, and Toronto FC win some MLS championship. But there really is not anything for these, Canadian teams. And yes, they did lose the Expos back in 2004, so it kind of doesn't really work out that way. But I think that, there's a lot of advantages to playing in Florida, to playing even in Tennessee. I mean, you have a low tax rate too, but the Predators are not a good team at the moment, even though they were projected to be one. Vegas won the Stanley Cup 2 years back, and Florida has won it too. And the Lightning have been in it, and the only real exception to a standard tax state or area or province is Colorado in the 2020s. Because, take it back, Lightning win it in 2020, and you could argue, Adam, it's the COVID season. Fine, but they won it again in 2021, and they made it again in 2022. They certainly earned at least one cup out of that. Personally, they earned one cup out of that. In 2023, the Panthers make it, and the Golden Knights make it, and they are two tax-free states. They have no income tax in that state, no state income tax. And 2024, Panthers win it. And yes, even though Edmonton got in, and they have the two of the best players in the world, I think Nate McKinnon is the second best. They have the first best player and the third best player. Draisaitl would be the third best player. I still think Nate McKinnon is a better player than Draisaitl. After all of that, they still can't get it done. But they do. They had Nurse still back then, and you can only go so far with Hyman and Brown as well. But and don't get me wrong, they're good players, but when you can retain better talent on your side, I think that and you can actually have a much more deeper core, like I've been talking about on the podcast. Lines 3 and 4. You have a solid lines 3 and 4, and you have a guy like Evan Rodriguez on your team. You're gonna win Stanley Cups too, because sometimes it's not always your top guys. I mean, Stéphane Matteau in 1994, in the Battle of the Lincoln Tunnel, scored that overtime goal against New Jersey and sent the Rangers to their first Stanley Cup in decades, essentially, and in 1994. And they would not get back to the Stanley Cup final until 2014. And the Kings won that. But the era of anyone can really get in, I think that's going the way of the dodo at this point because of the way the tax system is. And I mean, you can only pay Austin Matthews so much. And I think if he really wants a Stanley Cup, he's going to come, south of the Canadian border to win it. And Marchand has, let me tell you about Marchand. He has been probably this barrier that has prevented a Canadian team winning a Stanley Cup because he has knocked out the Maple Leafs on so many occasions. In 2024 recently, he knocked them out. And then all through the decades, like 2013 and like 2015 and stuff like that. And all these things. And guess who? And he was on the 2011 Bruins, right? He was on the 2011 Bruins. And who were they playing in 2011? The Vancouver Canucks. And who won the Stanley Cup that year? The Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins defeated the Vancouver Canucks. I think that you're going to see a really, that the next Stanley Cup winner is going to be another tax-free state. Dallas could still step it up and they could still find a way to get past Edmonton next year. That is also possible. Don't discount Texas at this point either. So, as well. But you take something, but St. Louis and Montreal, I mean, they are great hockey teams. The Blues and the Canadiens are great hockey teams. But I think when you're trying to retain a deeper core, if it really comes down, if they're even on almost everything else, I think at the end of the day, the money speaks. And we're in the era of getting your bag, get the bag, as the Gen Zers say, and get paid, get your paid dues and all that stuff. But it's been a great hockey game so far. Second period is coming up. let's see how this video ages.